Yo guys, Leggy here and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking into an aspect of my portfolio which I have not really dug into, and that's why we're digging it into today. What aspect is that? Basically it's dividends. Before we get into that, I've uploaded a couple videos the last couple of days. Firstly, thank you for the support on them. Secondly, one is a beginner's guide with different asset classes and how you can utilise an ISA. If you want to see that, I'll stick the link down in the description down below. The second one we covered is basically how to coffee cup invest, which is generally grabbing a small amount, putting it daily. It's called coffee cup investing because you tend to spend $5 a day on coffee. So it's generally where you just spend $5 a day and slowly build how to invest. And I'm seeing how that can actually build an effect. So that's another video we've done. But yeah, with further ado, let's get into the video. So firstly, what is a dividend? So a dividend is basically the cash which a company pays back to the holder of the stock. So if we look at it in professional terms, it says a dividend is a portion of a company's profits that is paid out to its shareholders. Dividends can be paid in cash, stock, or other forms. Dividends usually distributed quarterly and are determined by the company's board of directors. So you can get dividends paid monthly, quarterly, bi-yearly, which is every 6 months, or even yearly sometimes. So why are dividends such an important tool? Well, if you reinvest dividends, you can actually see the compounding effect, and the compounding effect is really key because this means that as you carry on investing, you can see your money start to go like this. And everyone will see this. I'll stick a graph of what I'm on about, but basically you can see the effect here of a person who's just invested but not reinvested any of their dividends versus someone who's actually reinvested their dividends. So I discussed this a little bit in yesterday's video, and one thing you do need to be wary of when you go into dividend investing is you don't want to fall into a dividend trap. So a dividend trap is basically where a company promises a really high dividend, but they don't have the financials or backing to pay this dividend for an extended amount of time. So the dividend ends up being unsustainable for the company, so they have to cut it. What this basically means is that people tend to invest for this stock for this really attractive, really high dividend, which are like, oh, I'm going to get 15% back on my money. But then they'll say, oh, we can't afford to pay this dividend anymore. So they take this dividend back. Everyone takes their money out because they panic, and you're stuck with a stock value of way less than you had even with the amount of money you got back from that dividend. So before I go into what I'm holding, there are 3 key dates which you need to know when talking about dividends. So the first one is the declaration date, and this is basically just the company saying, oh, this is what the dividend's going to be, because they do differ slightly sometimes, but they're going to basically confirm how much the dividend's going to be and when it's going to be paid. So basically just a posh word for an announcement date. So people get confused with the ex-dividend date because they tend to buy after the ex-dividend date and then they just see the payment date and they think, where's my money? But basically, if you buy in that short period of time between the ex-dividend date and the payment date, you will not get the dividend. So this is just like a cut-off date you do need to be wary of. So the final key date you need to know is obviously the payment date, and this is when it returns into your account. So if you're on a broker, you need to also be careful that these might not align because obviously they need to process it. So say there's a dividend date which is on the 16th of the month, you might not actually see this in some of your brokers until sometimes it's very, very quick, but sometimes it can take a couple of days, and this is just them doing stuff on their end. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, it just means that there can be a bit of a delay there. What you'll also find is if you're trying to trade for short term, so if you're like, oh, there's a dividend date, I know it's going to go up, I'm going to buy this stock and sell it, just be careful because obviously when you actually buy a stock and then you get the dividend, as you receive the dividend, the price actually drops by roughly equivalently the same as what the percentage you got back on that dividend. So that's why, it's not for short-term trading. Otherwise, people would be doing it more, and there's a reason why they don't. It's because you don't really make any money and it's not worth your while. So if you are going to dividend invest, do it long-term. So now we're part of a video which I'm sure, is that part you actually which you're actually interested in. And that is, how many dividends have we received in the year up to this point? So in my account, I'll stick it up here, but just from the start of having my account, we're up around about £70. But just for 2024, we are up around £26.43, which I know isn't much. I'll explain my reasoning. So obviously, if you guys don't know, I basically reset my investing journey recently, basically, because I had to relocate for a graduate job. So I did maths at uni, got a graduate job. Relocating takes a bit of money, so I had to take the money out. And that's a lesson which I say to everyone: if you can't afford to have the money invested and you might need it within the short term, um, don't invest it. But I sort of went against that. I just, life circumstances change, and that's absolutely fine as well. But what this means is that we haven't actually had the full flow of all the companies we've brought, meaning why that's so low. As you can see, there's a couple big ones there. We got Airbus, which is paid over £1. We got Four Corners, which is paid over £1. We've had one quarterly dividend, as you can see on like the FTSE All Worlds, FTSE High Div, FTSE 250. Whereas I've actually really increased my positions. So next time I'm hoping that will be closer to about £10. Because we've absolutely smashed it. As I said, I'll leave a video there with what I'm on about. But realty income there, as you can see, £3.56, that's 3 monthly dividends, and that is also going to be a monthly payer going forward. But when I say I'm going to get some much bigger ones, I'll put the ones which are actually upcoming up here. So we've got Agco, Alphabet, BAE Systems is the first big one. So we've got about 100 quid in this, but it's quite a good dividend payer. So I imagine the return will be quite good. We've got CAT, we've got Eaton, GSK, some of these with quite good dividend yields. We got IBM, KKR, and then these next two I'm actually quite excited for because I think they'll be about 5-6 quid each. It's Legal & General and Lloyd's. So we're actually quite, I don't know what happened to Lloyd's. Lloyd's pumped. I'll stick for graph here. But yeah, Lloyd's just went on a mad one. We've also got Microsoft. A lot of people say that Microsoft, because they're so diversified in their field, it's basically like holding an ETF in its own right nowadays. So I do like Microsoft as stock. And then realty income, as I said, upcoming every month. This will always be on the upcoming list because it gives me £1.35 a month. I don't know whether I'll increase my position in this because, as I said, I've got very strong set goals on trying to improve our situation for the S&P 500 at the moment. We've got Royal Bank of Canada, which is upcoming, and then we've got Stag, which is also a monthly one, but only down at 54p. So Realty Income and Stag are both REITs. I put another video up around about REITs if you want to explain what they are. But yeah, basically we're up around 70 quid, but with a very strong position going into the future. I imagine that this will start to increase much more, and now we've got the ball rolling. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy that video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Peace.